Hello Flosstube, my name is Lindsay and welcome to my channel Blushing Pink Stitches. This is Flosstube number 3. So I'm back after 2 weeks. I think 2 weeks is a good amount of time for me to wait in between videos. It means I have like the most amount of progress, or yeah, a good amount of progress anyway. So this is primarily a channel about my cross stitch. But I do leave myself room to talk about other crafts that I do, and I am actually going to talk about a couple of other crafty projects that I've got going today, so that's exciting. So I have my notes in front of me. So you will have noticed from the title of the video I actually have an FFO to show you. I do have some other finishes. I'm going to show you the whips that I'm working on. Something that I've kitted up for a future plan, and then a few things that I've bought, and then I'll leave yeah, a few other things at the end. So just kind of like general life update. Things are going really nicely. I have been doing 3 weeks of my new tutoring job. I've got like a 5-week block of it. So and then I've been applying to other things in the meantime. So yeah, things are going well at the moment on the job front. I'm enjoying the tutoring. Yeah, it's nice to be able to work with a small group of students on, you know, specific things that they need help with. And you know, we've got to the point in the tutoring process now where you can really see them making progress, which is so lovely to see. So yeah, my mum has just moved back to Essex. So she lived in the south of Wales for a little while with her husband, and they decided they wanted to come back to Essex. They were missing family, and of course I've got my daughter, she's 14 months old, and so mum was really missing her. So they decided that they wanted to move back. So they moved back last week. So it means I've got my mum around again, which is just lovely. We've talked about, you know, popping round for cups of tea and going out to dinner. And it does also mean that I'll have a babysitter occasionally, which is obviously really, really nice. My husband's parents are also on their way back. So they lived on the Isle of Wight for a few years, and they have decided that they want to come home as well. Again, just to be closer to family, really. So yeah, my daughter has got both sets of grandparents on the way home, or if not already here, which is so lovely. So yeah, there have been big changes around here recently. Yeah, and it's really exciting. You know, I think one of the things that COVID and lockdown taught me personally is that having people around you is so important. And I think I definitely took for granted even those everyday conversations that you had with colleagues at work and friends, and you know, just seeing each other face to face. Yeah, definitely took those things for granted. So it's really lovely having as many friends and family around you as possible and actually seeing them. So yeah, I've got a cup of coffee today. This is my Minnie Mouse mug, which I think I've shown before. Yeah, you may notice that I've got a bit of a weird voice. I've got a little bit of a cold and sort of feeling a bit throaty, but nothing like overly bad or anything. So I really wanted to sit down to film today, so that's exactly what I decided to do. I was excited about sharing everything with you, so that's what I'm doing. So yeah, that's a little life update. I do think I'll inevitably forget to say things, but I did make some notes today. I made some notes last video as well, and I do have my planner in front of me, which I haven't shown you yet, and I'm going to show you later on in the video, so that I try not to forget anything. But we're going to start with an FFO. So I decided that I wanted to, at least once a month, try and get the stuff to FFO a project and actually do it. I thought if I don't do it once a month, then they'll just sit in a cupboard and they'll never get done. And I've talked about before the fact that I'm both a product and a process stitcher, so I like the idea of finishing something and having it done and putting it up on the wall or displaying it somewhere or whatever, but I really do like the process of stitching as well. So it's not like the end of the world that things are sat in a cupboard for a while, but I would like to display them. So I don't like to have a massive budget for buying lots of different things, but I thought if I try and get something once a month, then at least I will start the process of starting to finish things. So that's a pretty good plan. So I finished this. So this I showed in my first video. I stitched this at the end of last year, and this is called Get It Done, and this is by Hipster Stitch Inc. on Etsy. And I fully finished it. So I framed it myself. I don't really have a lot of funds in order to professionally frame things, although there will be some exceptions to that. So for example, the Fruits of Plenty, I think when I ultimately finish that has to be professionally framed. But I bought this frame from Hobbycraft. It is I think it's a 25 by 25 centimetre shadow box frame. So it did have a little a bit of moulding in here, but because of the height of this piece, it was going to be too close to the stitches. So like I said, I did frame this myself. I watched some videos on framing. I used the lacing method, so I bought a bit of moulding board, and then I just used some cotton yarn that I had and laced it. And it's not 100% perfect, but I think I've done a pretty good job. There's a bit of glare on it from the window, but this one doesn't have, this is one for hanging on the wall, so it doesn't have one something that you can just sit it up on a bookshelf or whatever. But I'm just sitting it behind me at the moment. I don't know if you can see those flowers, they're being sort of washed out by the sun from the window. But I'm just sitting it up there at the moment. My husband keeps saying to me that he needs to buy a new drill. So he has a drill, but something about the drill he has is just for wood, and he needs a masonry drill in order to drill into walls. I don't know. I'm not au fait at that kind of stuff, and neither's he actually, but yeah, we're not really DIY inclined. But yeah, for now, this is going to sit up on the shelf behind me. You probably won't see it in my videos because I'm still trying to work out the angle of things. I'm actually filming on my iPad today just to see whether that is a bit easier. I don't know, but I'm really pleased with this. So pleased. You can see the glare from my iPad there. But yeah, I would highly recommend that pattern. I just love the roses on it and things like that, and it reminds me to actually do things and get on with stuff, which I think is a good sort of thing to have in mind all of the time. So that, yeah, that's my FFO. So other things that I have finished, look down the list, and I'm going to have been really unorganised, so I'm going to pause and get the other two things that I haven't been organised enough to have right here. So hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. So I got myself organised again. I thought I'd got everything out, and clearly I hadn't. So we'll talk about finishes. The first thing that I'm going to show you was a start and a finish. So I started this on the 19th of January and I finished it on the 30th. Today's Tuesday, 1st of February, if I hadn't mentioned that already. And this is, I've got my needle caught, I've still got the needle in it. This is the, is it this way up? Yeah, Christmas block by Cloud Factory. If I just put this behind it, you have to see it a little bit easier. So this is another free pattern on their site. I did the autumn block last year, and I showed you that in my first video. So I went ahead and did the Christmas block. And no, I'm not a seasonal stitcher, so it doesn't matter that it's January and I stitched the Christmas block. I had the stuff, I fancy doing it, it's all good. So I really love the geometric designs, and I love the back stitching in these as well. So this is back stitch with 2 strands, which is obviously a bit more unusual. But yeah, it's really pretty. This is stitched on a piece of 14 count Midnight Blue Ada by Zweigart, I think. And then it calls for DMC threads, and that's what I used. I think there might be an anchor conversion. Let's have a little look. Yeah, there is an anchor conversion on there as well, but I used DMC, and I'm really happy with that. Again, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do in terms of finishing it. I did think about doing something where I could switch out the autumn and the Christmas ones, but because I only have 2 and they don't have, there isn't a pattern for spring and summer and that on their website. I think that might be, I can only switch out 2 things, doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So yeah, if anybody's got any ideas about how I can finish this one and the autumn one, then let me know. But yeah, I'm really pleased with that. I think that I did that in sort of 3 or 4 days, 2 or 3 days, something like that. It didn't take that long once I got going. I know people talk about, you know, the idea of, oh, well, this pattern repeats all the way around. Yeah, but I quite like that. I like the uniformity of it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I would definitely recommend it. Like I said, it's a free pattern, so you can just go and download it, put it in your basket on the Clouds Factory website, and then just check out, and it's obviously free. So yeah, really enjoyed that one. I'm gonna put that back. I still had that in a bag, I think because I was waiting to film this video. So that is that. And then the second thing that I finished was my Harry Potter bookmark. And these are a set of 5 bookmarks called the Wizards bookmarks, and they're by a shop on Etsy called CuteCrossStitchShop. And they're not currently showing it as a pattern on their Etsy shop, but if you message her, she may be able to do a custom order for you. This one's got a little mark on it, you can see it here. I'm hoping when I FFO this, I'm not going to need that, I'll just do it up to here, so that will just disappear. So yeah, this is the Harry Potter one. Yeah, not much to report. I think I'd only done his face when I saw you last, maybe. So yeah, this is stitched on 18 count white Ada from Hobbycraft, which I'm not a massive fan of, but I had a packet of it, so I'm going to use it up. And the only thing I changed was the back stitch. It's supposed to be done in 3 strands, and I only did it in 2 because I wanted to do the loop start method, and you can still sort of see through it. You can see through it, but I'm hoping when I FFO it, it'll be fine. Yeah, so I really do like these bookmarks. I'm waiting until I've done all of them, until I excuse me, until I fully finish them. And somebody suggested putting felt on the back. Somebody commented on one of my videos and suggested putting felt on the back, and that's a really good idea. I do want to kind of put a piece of card in the middle for a bit of stability, but I don't want it to be too bulky. So yeah, I just have to see what I decide to do with that. And I might as well, while I'm here, show you, I started the Hermione one. So this is the start of the Hermione pattern. She looks a bit weird at the moment because I've stitched all of the accents, like in her hair, and then I'm coming in and I'm filling in the rest of her hair. So she looks a little bit strange at the moment, but yeah. So that's what I've done of her so far. I started her on the 21st of January. So I said before, I'm kind of using these as small projects that I can sort of do on the go, a stitch here and there, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. I have got distracted by something else, which means that these are going a little bit slower, but it is what it is, whatever. So that's that. And then I'm calling this a finish. I finished a part of it. So I finished the part 1, the January block of the Fruits of Plenty sale by Modern Folk Embroidery. This was just so addictive to stitch. Yeah. It's a lot of stitching, but at the same time, I don't know whether it's the method that I'm using or the fact that there aren't many colour changes. I don't really know, but here it is. So I'm going to put something behind it. I'm going to have to get, like, you know, when you're a proper Flosstuber and you have like one of those pieces of cardboard or board that you can put things behind. I feel like I need to get one of those. Here we go. That's a bit better. So yeah, this is part 1. This is the January block. And I finished this on the 24th. So it took me a couple of weeks, maybe. 12 or so days, something like that. But once I got to the bottom half, it went really quickly. This basket, I had to frog this twice. So I decided that rather than stitching it across, which is the way that I would usually do things, because it has all these diagonals, I would stitch it on the diagonal so that you know, again, there's less likelihood of seeing the crossover behind it. But twice I had to frog it where I'd gone over 3 rather than over 2 on one particular stitch, and then that threw everything out. And of course it was way over here where I'd started like on row 3 or something, and so I had to frog it all the way back. And then I frogged it all the way back, redid it, and decided that I think in exactly the same spot I'd done it again. I don't know what I was thinking, but there were a couple of other bits in here that weren't quite right, so they had to come out. But it's really pretty. I love it. And I bought part 2, February's part. So I thought when I finish something at the beginning of February, I will pick this back up again and do February's bit. But I'm really pleased with it. This is a piece of 32 count linen from I think it's Belfast linen from Zweigart. I'm not very good at pronouncing that, but there we go. And I'm using DMC 932, that's the lighter colour, and 3750, that's the darker colour. And they're the colours that that Jacob originally used in their model. And I really liked the model, so I just went with that. So yeah, the sewing in hand made it go really quickly. And yeah, I'll show you another bit that I'm working on, which I'm using a piece of even weave for. Or is it linen? I can't remember. Anyway, and yeah, I tried using the sewing method on that, and it wasn't really clicking, so I went to using a hoop. Isn't it weird how different projects just require different approaches? I don't know. But anyway, so they are all of my finishes. So now I'm going to show you what I am currently working on. So I showed you the Hermione bookmark already. So this is the project. So I started on the 26th of January. Christmas Birds by Owl Forest Embroidery. This was a pattern that I bought as one of my Christmas presents to myself. And there are 2 versions of this on the Owl Forest Embroidery website. This is a slightly bigger version. I just preferred it. I said before, like, I like this little lantern in here. and this has more birds on it. It just appealed to me more, so I decided to go with that. And this is how far I've got. I've still got it on the hoop because I was working on it earlier on, well, last night, and there's a bit of thread there as well. So let's try and move that slightly out of the way. So yeah, I started in the centre. Well, I originally started in the top left-hand corner. I don't know whether you can tell that I've had to frog up here, because I cut this piece of fabric. So this is a piece of 32 count Belfast linen Zweigart in the summer khaki colourway, and that's what they've used on the model. So I thought I'd go with that. And the piece that I bought was 19 by 27 inches. When I did my calculations on is it the Yarn Trees cross stitch calculator, it said like how much I needed if I wanted a 3.5 inch border, so I cut it. And then as I was stitching the corner of it, I kept thinking, I don't know, I think I'm going to run out of fabric on the other side. And so I did a bit of measuring, and it would have been like 1 inch on the other side. So I think when I cut it, I've kind of cut it and it's gone at a diagonal. I don't know what I've done. I don't know. So I thought, okay, so I do think I have enough, and I measured again and I do have enough. So I thought what I would do is I would start in the middle, work my way out to the edge that I'd cut, and then measure upwards to the smallest edge of it and just make sure that I actually had enough fabric, and I do have enough fabric. So this is the end. So it's slightly, I think it's like 2.5 inches of like a spare fabric rather than 3.5, or slightly over that anyway. I don't know what I was doing. Because I thought, oh, you know, I could use the spare fabric for something else. There isn't a great deal of spare fabric left. And I did it like at like 8 o'clock at night when my daughter had gone to bed, and perhaps I was tired, and I don't really know. I think the lesson there is, if you don't have an awful lot of fabric left over, just leave it. And even if you do, maybe just stitch it and then cut the excess fabric off afterwards. I don't know. Anyway, this is what it looks like currently. I'll just put the extra fabric behind it. So you've got the little bird table, bird house, a basket of apples, and then, like I said, I started each motif, but I haven't finished these ones. So there's another bird that goes up here, and then this is another little birdhouse, I think, and then this is part of the border. So I'm really liking the colours on this. You can use, I'm using DMC. They recommend, like, the called for is their own Our Forest Embroidery's own hand-dyed floss, but I didn't go with that. I just went with the DMC, and I like the muted red that you kind of got up here. That's really pretty. So yeah, I'm planning on working on this and trying to finish it over the next couple of weeks. And I'm really enjoying that. And again, it's a Christmas project. Is it though? Because I said it was a winter project before. It's a winter project. We'll go with that. It's a winter project. I have all of my threads in this little pouch that I use my Cricut to iron on my name. So I have them all in here. Yeah, there's some spare ones in there at the moment. Loose bits, I should say. That's what I like to do. I like to use these project bags. These are from Amazon or WH Smith, one of the two. And then I like to use clear pencil cases or other pencil cases just to put booklets in and keep that all organised. So that is that one. Oh, I didn't put the pattern away. Let's just put the pattern in here. Hold on a second. Oh. Just so I'm not left with hundreds of things to tidy up afterwards. And then the other one, Christmas Birds, Pretty Little New York, which is this one. Okay, so yeah, I started Pretty Little New York by Satsuma Street, and I'm sure you're familiar with these patterns. This is what it's going to look like when it's finished. She has lots of different cities. My husband and I have been to New York before. I've been twice, when we went once together, and we love it. So I really wanted to stitch that up, and so I started this. I started it after I finished the Fruits of Plenty, so on the 24th of January, which is the same day that I finished the January block of the Fruits of Plenty. I mean, I thought I would just stitch until it was done. So I'll show you how far I've got, and I have got a little stain on this again. What is it with me? Look. What is it with me and getting little stains on things? So I'll just show you. Here we go. What's the best thing to put behind it? There we go. So I stitched, this is the Brooklyn Bridge. And like I said, I thought I would stitch until this was all done. However, I was stitching the Brooklyn Bridge, and I'm enjoying it. Obviously, don't get me wrong, I love it. But this pattern is very blocky. You can see here, it's very square and rectangular, and this particular pattern is very blue. So it wasn't capturing my interest in the way that some other things do. You know, in one way you could say it's kind of mindless because it's blocky. And that's true. But yeah, I think a combination of that and the fact that it was lots of blue all in one wasn't holding my attention as much. So I decided what I would do, if I just show you, what she very helpfully does is on one page of the pattern, she puts what each of the sections on the, like which bit of the city each of the sections of the pattern are. So I've just done number 5. So what I thought I would do is pull this out, I don't know, once a month and do one section of it. And there are some extra little bits to this, like there are some trees and bits in the sky and things like that. And like there's some stuff between these buildings. But I thought if I do one section a month, that will keep my interest. It'll keep it ticking along. And eventually, so there are, what, 10 sections here? So let's say, I don't know, in a year's time, I'll have finished that and I can put that up on the wall. So that's my plan with that one. And this is stitched all in DMC. And this is a piece of 18 count Ada from Zweigart in Sparkle Snow. So it does have a little bit of a sparkle to it. I think you can probably see that. Yeah, I don't know what was happening here. But I figured my stitching would cover that up, so it's fine. Yeah. So yeah, that's what the plan is with that one. I think what I'm going to do is in February, when I have finished Christmas Birds. Yeah, I think the plan is to finish Christmas Birds as like my bigger piece. I want to do the Fruits of Plenty February block. And then I'll go back to that and I'll do another block of Pretty Little New York. So that is the idea. And then I have a couple of non-cross stitch things that I've started. I'm not sure whether I talked about this in my first episode, but I do like other crafts apart from cross stitch, and I've got an obsession with cross stitch. It's the main thing that I want to be working on at the moment, but I do really enjoy other crafts as well. So for Christmas, hold on a sec. Oh. For Christmas, my husband bought me a Hufflepuff knitting kit from, I think it's from Eagle Moss Hero Collection. I will link it down below. So they have produced lots of different knitting kits for Harry Potter. And I put one on my wish list ages ago. And I sent him my wish list before Christmas, as you do. And well, he asked me. That's kind of what we do. We send each other lists and we pick off of them. generally, unless kind of, I don't know, the inspiration has struck me to pick something different. So anyway, he picked this off of my list, and I've left in fact, no, I have it here. So this is the thing that came around the box. So this is the Hufflepuff Slouch Socks and Mittens kit, and I am a Hufflepuff. For any of you Harry Potter fans out there, my husband is a Ravenclaw. So yeah, before I did the test, I bought a Gryffindor lanyard for work when we went to Universal for the first time. And then I did the test afterwards and realised that I was a Hufflepuff, so I've now got a Hufflepuff lanyard. So yeah, these are mittens and socks to knit, and it comes with everything that you need. It comes with some knitting needles, all of the wool, the instructions, and a darning needle. So this is the instruction booklet of what to do. Although these are the Gryffindor socks, but it doesn't matter. And I thought I would start with the mittens, like with the smaller project. So I have completed the cuffs of the mittens. And the mittens are actually knit flat rather than in the round, because this is a beginner pattern. So presumably they don't want to put beginners off by trying to join something in the round and knit it in the round, and you would have to have completely different needles then and stuff. So yeah, these are 3.5mm needles, and then you've got this black, and then what do they call this? Do they call it gold or do they call it yellow? Yellow wool. So yeah, you stitch them flat and then you seam them up afterwards. So I knit the first cuff, and then because there are two of them, and you know, I don't know about you, but whenever I've ventured into trying to knit socks and things like that, the idea of doing a second one once you've done the first is not that appealing. So I did have another set of these needles, like an older set. So I decided that I would cast on the second cuff. That one needle slightly shorter than the other, I've just noticed that. Oh well. So yeah, the other one's done as well. So that's all I've done of them. I just did that in a couple of days in the middle of the month. But I am enjoying those, so I'm hoping to go back to those and sort of do a section at a time of them. And then I'll seam them together, and then maybe I'll start on the socks at some point. Again, when he bought me the socks kit, I was sort of a little bit put off by, oh, you know, knitting in the round, and oh, that's quite a lot of... But then because they're knit flat, and you don't do any... As far as I can tell from the pattern, you don't do anything like create a heel. I think they're just supposed to be like house socks. That doesn't really matter if they don't have the traditional heel in them and things like that. So yeah, started those. And the other instruction booklet I'll put back. The other thing I started is a crochet project, and it is living in this Cinderella tote bag. I think I bought it from Primark ages ago. And this is a crochet blanket. So I have wanted to do an Attic 24 blanket for ages. She has so many though, it's quite overwhelming to pick which one. I think the other thing that I was having a hard time with is they use quite a lot of colours, and I wanted to use a lot of yarn from my stash because I don't have the means to buy loads of stuff at the moment. So she calls for 15 colours in this pattern, and I'm just going with 7. So this is the Cupcake stripe blanket. And I'm following the number of stitches that she asked. She asked you to not cast on, chain 198, I think it is. So you can make this bigger. This would be like a single bed size. If I show you how easy this is going to be, I don't know. Can you kind of see the length of it? I don't know. Yeah, so you can make this longer. But what I've decided to do is So do the single bed size, but I will probably do it as a square rather than as a rectangle, and then a border and make it into some sort of baby blanket. So the colours that I'm using, let's see if I can remember them. This is all Stylecraft Special DK. So here's the label. So would you call this a 3-weight in the States? I think you probably would. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see if I can remember the colours. This is the cloud blue colourway. This is pistachio. I want to say this is wisteria, apricot, and this is fondant, I think. And then the colours that I haven't used. Oh no, hold on. No, that lighter purple is called clematis. So cloud blue, pistachio, clematis, apricot, fondant. And then the colours that I haven't used so far are wisteria. It's a bit tangled. My daughter got hold of this. You can't let them have things like that. Anyway, and duck egg. So I really like that combination of colours. I just think it's so pretty. And I think this will be a nice blanket for a boy or a girl. Yeah, I just think they're lovely pastel-y colours together. So it will work well for either. But we'll see. I might keep it for my daughter, put it on her bed when she eventually goes into a bed. Or I might keep it in like my pile of things that I could... I'm saying I have a pile. I don't have a pile. But potentially a pile of things that I could use to gift to people. So yeah, I like working on that when she's awake and playing. You know, obviously I play with her and read to her and things, but when she's having a 10-minute burst of I'm going to go and play on my own over the other side of the room or whatever, it's nice just to have that to work on. There's no scissors or needles out. Yeah, obviously I don't let her touch the hook, but it's easy to just chuck on the back of the sofa if she wants me for some sort of reason. Yeah, so I think those are all of my whips. Yeah, another sip of coffee. Maybe going to be a bit of a longer video, I don't really know. So future plans, and when I talk about future plans, I'm really talking about patterns that I've kitted up that I'm planning on starting in the future. So I like to have a list on my phone, and I've actually transferred it in here as well, which I'll show you in a bit, of floss that I need for a particular project or fabric that I need for a particular project, so that when I'm out and about, I can pick things up. And then also if I'm ordering online, I can quickly reference something in the notes section of my phone rather than going into loads of different patterns on Google Drive or whatever, or pulling them out of my paper stash. So the one that I have kitted up over the last couple of weeks is this one. I won't show you the pattern. I'll show you, is that the right way around? This way around. This is a free pattern from Hands On Design called Berries in Bloom. And I believe that you just go to her blog and print this off. I will try to leave a link to this down below. But I think Liz from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch showed this on her channel before Christmas. And I really liked the colours in it and the colour of the fabric that was used. So I grabbed a copy of it. And it does call for, it says the model is stitched on a 32 count vintage Tiffany, which is by Fabrics by Stephanie, which I believe is a American company. Anyway, I couldn't get my hands on that in the UK, so I decided to get a piece of 16 count light blue Ada. I don't know whether this is DMC or Zweigart. I got it from eBay. And you can see it's an 18.5 by 10 piece. And the stitch count on this is 65 by 64. So I'm no way going to use all of this. So this isn't as, the model looks brighter than this and a bit more mottled. but I figured it would look really nice on it. And I already had all of the DMC ready to go. So at some point I will start that. And yes, it's another Christmas project. It just happens to be things that I've noticed, you know, in the last couple of months that people have talked about. So, okay. We're going to talk about some hauls. So I told you in Flosstube number 2 that I had bought some patterns, but I didn't really have them ready to hand. So I'm going to show you them to you now. So the first one that I bought was Ink Circles Quaker Geometric Puzzle. And I saw Erin from 2 Martini Stitcher. She did a whip parade. She's not making a lot of videos at the moment, which is such a shame, but she has to do what makes her happy. But she did a whip parade at the beginning of January or end of December, I can't remember when, and she showed her progress on this. And I had been aware of ink circles before. There's one that has actual circles in it that's stitched in gold that I'd put on my wish list, but I particularly loved this one. And again, it's that geometric thing. I just really like it. So it comes in there's 2 options for colours. So there's this kind of dual toned one, and then let me take it out of the thing. There's also this one here, which is more, I don't know, kind of, it's got a completely different vibe to it. I don't really know how you would describe that. Blues and golds, that one, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not really sure how you would describe that. But it tells you the colours that you could use for either. I'm going to go with the dual toned one because I really like the pinks and the greens and the golds together in that. It calls the DMC. You can do it in other things. There is a conversion in there of something. What is it? Is it weeks or what does it say? Oh no, it's just DMC. It's just DMC. So yeah, I'm gonna get the DMC for that, and then a piece of fabric. And I'd like to do that nice and quickly. Another one that I bought is this one, and I'm going to apologise for my horrendous German pronunciation, but this is De Farben de Wassiers by this company here. And I saw Brenda from Handwork Maniac show this in her whip parade, and I just loved it. It's just so lovely. So you've got all of the blocks, but then you've got these flowery designs over the top, and I really liked like the contrast between the two. It's really lovely. This is stitched in excuse me, is it Swatage? Is that how you pronounce it? Silks. And there is a conversion to DMC, but I thought I would have a go at getting the silks. It's going to be a treat for me to buy them. But I've never stitched with anything other than DMC before. So I figured it for something this big, and this is, what's the stitch count on this? 175 by 175. For something this big that I'm going to be working on this long, then I figured it was a good reason to use it for that. But also, it does say in the pattern, if you use the DMC, then the colours that are shown here might be different. And I really like the colour palette in this. So I don't really want to go too far away from what's here, because I love the way it looks right now. So yeah, that's going to be a treat at some point. We'll see. So I bought that. I've been binge watching Shiloh from X Stitch MD. I think she's got about 35 videos out. I found her channel before Christmas and then I've been binge watching all of her videos. It's just, you know, when you find a particular person to watch and it's their personality and the way that they do things that draw you back to watching their videos, and plus obviously the projects. And it's all of those things with her. She stitches some beautiful things. And it's just her manner and her approach that I really love as well. So anyway, she was showing some patterns from a shop on Etsy called Lena Cross Stitch. Is it called Lena Cross Stitch? Yeah, Lena Cross Stitch. And they do some lovely things on there. And there's a few that I've got on my wish list. But I picked this one up. This is called Lace Renaissance. And I just loved the simple one colour on a coloured fabric. And they've got a couple of different examples, like they've got a blue, no, it's stitched on blue and on white fabric, I think. But this is the picture that I like, the white stitched on like a grey fabric. And this is quite a dark grey and I think it needs that for the white to really pop. But again, it's that whole geometric thing that we've got, like a mandala type thing that we've got going on that I really love. So yeah, I bought that one. This is one that I had on my wish list for a while, and I was just scrolling down to the bottom of my Etsy wish list and I thought I would pick something that I'd had on there for ages. So this is called Flower Tree by Stitching Land, and I like the Japanese sort of cherry blossom nature of this. And the trellis bit around the outside, it's just very oriental looking to me and I really like that idea. It's full coverage on the inside, so that will be a challenge. But I think this is all DMC. Yeah, it is. So I really liked that one. Then this one, I discovered that Lila's Studio has a Etsy shop, and so I was sort of favouriting a few of their patterns, and then I came across this. This is called Flower Patch 2, and again it got a whole geometric thing about it, although this is not, these are different in each corner, so there are some variety to it, but I love the colours in it. I love it on that creamy fabric. That's beautiful. This, I think, is stitched in Weeks Dye Works. Where's my phone? Because somebody's trying to ring me and they'll just have to leave a message. Yeah, this is stitched in Weeks Dye Works, I believe. Yeah. So again, that will be a little treat for me to pick up some of those and give those a go. There's not a conversion on that. I could do my own conversion, but I don't think I feel comfortable or confident enough doing that right now. I feel like I'm not experienced enough to do that kind of thing. And plus, like, I don't think, like I do, I think I've said before, like I don't have a local needlework shop like dedicated to needlework. I have craft stores that have DMC and Ada in them and things like that, but there's nowhere physical close to me anyway that sells things like Weeks Dye Works and you know, other threads that aren't DMC or Anchor. So I couldn't actually stand somewhere and compare things either. It would be really hard for me. Okay, and then the last printed pattern that I bought was this one. And this was inspired by Michelle from Bendy Stitchy. She was talking about these quirky Quakers. And I like a Quaker pattern. We talked about that before. But they are all different animals. And this one's the fox. So this is from a shop called Darling and Whimsy Designs on Etsy. And it's just a really small pattern, but I just thought it was so cute. my husband and I love foxes. So she has all different animals on there, and I'd like to collect some more of them. And that calls for DMC and Gentle Arts in burnt orange. And I'm on the waiting list. I say on the waiting list. It's sold out at the couple of places that I can get it in the UK. So I've signed up for an email notification for that. It's just one thing. And then a physical, I actually bought a physical pattern. So this has been going around Instagram and Flosstube, and again, it's a fox, and every time I see it, I fall in love with it. So when it came back into stock again, I'd signed up for the email for when it was back in stock, and then it came back in stock one day, but I wasn't quick enough. I think they only had 7 and they sold out really quickly. And then I think about a week ago, it came back into stock again. And I was I think I logged on and there were 2 left, and I managed to get one. So this is A Year in the Woods, The Fox by Cottage Garden Samplings. Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen this. There's going to be a whole series of them. I think the second one is some swans. There's an Instagrammer called Poppy Stitches, and she's been working on this, and it's just gorgeous. So yeah, I decided to pick it up when it came back in stock. This has a couple of Gentle Arts. In fact, it has burnt orange again, and then some DMC. So yeah, I'm going to try and get the fabric as well that this is stitched on. Again, I've signed up for an email notification for when that comes back in stock. It's a 40 count, and I've only stitched, so I've stitched on 18 count Ada and a 32 count linen. So is there going to be much difference with 40 count? I might give it a go because I kind of like the size. It does give you alternative like design, so if you do it on different counts, how big it will be. On the 40 count, it's 5 inches by 6.5. Which is quite small really, isn't it? I don't know. Should I try the 40 count? What do you guys think? I love this. And I'd like to stitch all of them as they come out. So there's that. And then other haul that I got, I had some Amazon vouchers that I got from work for sort of as a leaving present. So I bought a couple of crafty things, and they were Harry Potter things, obviously. So this is the second Knitting Magic book. I do have the first one. I got the first one as a present quite a while ago now. I want to say it's been out for a couple. Oh no, I didn't get it as a present actually. I pre-ordered it a couple of years ago. Yeah, I'm yet to knit anything out of it, but yeah, it has some lovely projects in here. It's just flipped to one that I think is a particular favourite of mine. There's some in here that are very sort of Harry Potter-esque, and others that if you didn't know it was Harry Potter, it would just be pretty. So for example, this one is the Hogwarts Castle Cow. And there's a picture of her wearing it here. I'll just cover up the pattern. Now, if you didn't know that that was Harry Potter, it would just be a pretty thing for her to wear. So, yeah, there's different things like that in here. So I got that. And then I also bought, they bought out the crochet equivalent. So I got the crochet one as well. And again, if I flick through this, things I particularly like in here. There's stuff I definitely wouldn't do. I'm not going to be able to find anything now. I don't want to see. I don't know. Let's see. So you can crochet Hermione's hat from the last couple of films. She wore this when she was in Godric's Hollow. So that's quite cool. What's another one? You can crochet the scarves. I probably wouldn't do that because this is Tunisian crochet, and I have tried it once. Wasn't particularly successful, and I know that the original knitting book has a scarves pattern in it, so I'll just do it from there. This is the Ron's 3 Broomsticks cardigan, which is quite nice. And there's a picture of him wearing it in the film. Yeah, so I really like that idea. Again, like on the front of here, you've got these mittens, owl post mittens, which are nice. I probably wouldn't knit these. This is like a Hex's scarf, I think, which I quite like the idea of. But yeah, I bought those two. And then the only other thing that I bought that I thought I would show you is I showed you my cross-stitch journal last time, and I bought this, which is a monthly planner, and I saw Carolyn from CuteCrossStitchShop. She had one of these, and then also Vicky from the Virginia Stitcher. And I didn't think I'd be able to get it in the UK, but Amazon UK did do it. And basically it's a monthly planner, 2-year monthly planner. And they were sort of showing how they were using it. And I quite like the idea of it. So I'm going to show you how I'm using mine. So this is January. So what I've basically been doing in mine, and I have put a bit of decoration. I'll show you this nicely. I've basically been writing in when I've started something on the days. And then if I've highlighted it, that means I've finished it. So I've put in here my knitting and crochet ones as well. And then in my notes section, I've just written down dates of when I finished things. So I can just refer back to it. So I've been referring back to it while I've been talking to you here. And then after each month, there's a notes section. So what I've been doing is I've been writing down patterns that I've bought recently and what I need for them. So when I'm ordering things online, you know, when I get the means to order something online, I can just quickly have a little look at this and, oh, here's the stitch count, here's the fabric that they used, and here are the DMCs that you need, for example. And then I can highlight them when I have got them. And I know then what I need to kit something up. So not everything is in here, just patterns that I want to stitch quite quickly, I want to kit up quite quickly. Yeah, and it has all the months up until the end of 2023, and I quite like that as well, the fact that you've got a 2-year thing in here. So that's what I've been using it for. So I just thought I'd show you that, because I personally like looking at the way that other people organise themselves, how they write things down. You know, if I was doing WhipGo, then, you know, the note section would be a great place to put the board, for example. I don't have enough whips to do WhipGo. I don't know whether I ever will. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed looking at that. Well, I've got a bit of an itchy nose. Excuse me. That coffee's gone cold, which tells me I've been talking too long. So the last thing I just wanted to mention is what I've been reading. I am in the middle of an audio book and a physical book, but I haven't finished either of those. So I thought I would talk to you about a book that I read recently, so just before Christmas, that I would recommend. And I'll put a picture of it up on the screen here. I'm hoping not to do like a load of editing, but I'll put a picture of it up on the screen. And it's called The Only Plane in the Sky, The Oral History of 9/11 by Garrett M. Graff. And I listened to this on audio. So it's narrated by the author and somebody called Halter Graham. And then it's got a whole other cast. Well, I say it cast, yeah, lots of other people talk on it. And basically, it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11 last year, and I follow a few people on BookTube, and they were reading it at that particular time, and they were talking about how good it was, and so I picked it up. And I wanted to particularly listen to it on audio because the people who are mentioning their stories in the book are the ones that generally are narrating it, which is just incredibly powerful. So basically, let me go back a step. This is exactly what it says. It's an oral history of 9/11. So it goes from the morning of 9/11, when people were sort of getting up and going into work and getting on planes and things like that, and then it goes all the way through to the aftermath of the tragedy. And you have lots of different people's perspectives from during that time and what happened. And it was just absolutely fascinating to hear people's voices that were involved in it in some sort of way. Was incredibly powerful. What was equally moving is the fact that you had people talking about others that didn't come home, and so those voices were missing, and it was very, very emotional from that point of view. There was a lot of information about what happened at the Pentagon and with the plane that crashed in Pennsylvania, which I feel like I didn't know as much about as I did what happened with the Twin Towers. So I felt like I learned a lot from that perspective, and there was a lot about what the president was doing and what his team were doing and things like that. It was just utterly fascinating. So I would highly recommend it, and I would highly recommend listening to it on audio. I'm sure your libraries have got copies of it that you could get a hold of. I think I bought a copy from Audible using one of my credits, so you can get it from Audible as well. But your library should have a copy, and if they don't, then request it. But yeah, I would really recommend reading that. I just think it's important that we remember that time, know as much information as possible, and learn from it as much as possible as well. Yeah. Anyway, that is it, I think. I think I've covered everything. Yeah. I'd love having chats with you in the comments down below. Give me... Yeah, I think I asked some questions. I can't remember what those questions are off the top of my head now. But if you've got any advice, any comments, any questions, please leave them down below. I'm going to, as much as possible, leave links in the description box below, or at least like names of things, so you can see what I've been working on, what I've bought, that kind of idea. If something's missing from there that I've mentioned, just pop me a comment and I'll update the box. I try to go off of my list. But if I miss something, then just let me know. I hope you all have a lovely couple of weeks. Like I said, I'm planning to come back in a couple of weeks again and update you. Hopefully I've got another FFO and some more stitchy goodness. Yeah. I hope you keep well, that you spend some good time with your friends and your families, and that you get some good stitching time in. Have a lovely day, and I will see you soon. Bye.